mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episodes 1, 2, and 3 of the new HBO Max original series, Peacemaker. You might be familiar with Peacemaker already. It's a spin-off show from a character in the most recent Suicide Squad movie entitled The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. If you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, you kind of got an idea of what you were going to get when you saw the Suicide Squad, kind of like a more R-rated version of that. And if you've seen the Suicide Squad, you kind of got an idea of what you're going to get here. You got a lot of fun, a lot of jokes, risque jokes. It's very vulgar. A lot of over-the-top violence, which I personally love. And it's kind of, it's what you would expect a show based around this character to feel and look like. This is actually the first time in a long time that I'm getting to do something that was actually the reason for the creation of this channel, the I watch shit so you don't have to aspect, where I could say like, okay, if you haven't seen this show, I've watched these first 3 episodes, here's what I think, which is why this is going to be a non-spoiler video. This is for people who decide, if they want to watch this or not, they can use this video to help them decide. So that's kind of the purpose. I haven't been able to do this a while since I've kind of moved to this kind of like episode by episode review format, but I figured this would be a good time to just give you guys an idea of whether or not this is something you should watch, because I know there's a lot of people who are kind of on the fence about it because they don't know what to expect. But like I said, if you've seen the Suicide Squad, you do know what to expect here. You're getting more of that same style of humor, more of that same style of violence, and just kind of more of that fun that you kind of are accustomed to getting in like Marvel movies, but just on a more risque level. Because with Disney, they're only pushing the envelope so far, whereas with this, you get HBO and you get Warner Brothers and you get the R-rated kind of pass. You end up with scenes where Peacemaker is fucking in the first episode, and not just like, oh, he gets laid. Like, no, he's fucking. Like you can see it. And I think this show is one that this isn't gonna be a fucking like Emmy nominated kind of deal, right? And it's not even gonna be one of those things, I think, where you're gonna look at like, oh, this is the best comic book television show. But this is I feel like this is kind of like the pinnacle of this type of comic book show. Like you have shows like like Doom Patrol, Titans, like kind of like what DC is doing on HBO Max with their programs. These ones that are a lot darker, a lot more adult, and some of them interject comedy like Doom Patrol does. Or like I think a good example is this is kind of more similar to the animated Harley Quinn show that's on HBO Max, which I highly recommend, by the way, if you're interested in that. But I think that's kind of what they're going for here, is kind of like building out this television world where they can do things that Marvel's, at least at this point, is hesitant to dip its toe in. At least in the films anyway. Marvel's getting, they pushed the envelope when they did the Netflix shows, but then they hopped right out of that. So who knows what Marvel's going to do on the television side. But like I said, I thought this show, these first 3 episodes were really fun. They're, like I said, really violent, really vulgar, just like, the Suicide Squad film. But I'm going to get into a few details, not spoilery, to give you guys an idea of how this show works. So essentially, a team has been built for a mission to take out something called butterflies. It's called Project Butterfly, just like in the movie Project Starfish was about a literal starfish. They're not too creative with names. And we don't even find out, along with Peacemaker, John Cena's character, what Project Butterfly actually is, or what these people that they refer to as butterflies, what that means, until like the end of the 3rd episode, like fairly late in the 3rd episode. So it's not spoiling you to tell you that they are on this Project Butterfly thing, because they don't even really reveal what that is until fairly late. But they're on this Project Butterfly team, and they have a team, which is kind of like why I associated it with Harley Quinn, because they have a team on there as well. So does Doom Patrol. And it makes me think like DC shows like to do teams. Like if you think of even the ones that are on the CW, like they always made teams. They forced teams like Arrow, The Flash, Legends, like all those things. It's like you had The Flash, and then he had like a couple of people, and then they building out this like 5-person team and shit. So DC likes to do these like team films team shows and shit. But I'm gonna run over some of the supporting members of the team, and then talk about Peacemaker a little bit as well. So you have Myrn, who is the leader of the team, from a a technical perspective. Like, he's the guy that's in charge of this team, and this is a mission that they have been put on by Amanda Waller. I've never seen this actor in anything else before. His name's like wild difficult to pronounce, so I wasn't gonna do him the disrespect of attempting to pronounce his name, but he's the one that's in charge. Then you have Harcourt, who we know from the Suicide Squad film. We saw her in that, however briefly. I think she's more of like the emotional leader of the team. Like, once you're out there on a mission, the person who you kind of like look to for guidance. She's a kind of a hard ass, but still a badass. She's the pretty one on the team, which, you know, if you've seen more than like 5 television shows or movies, they're probably going to pair her up in a romantic way with Peacemaker. I'm not going to be surprised when that happens. Probably going to be a little disappointed, because it's like, okay, could you be a little bit less formulaic? But all right. You have Economos, who's kind of like their tech guy. He was also in the Suicide Squad movie for about the same amount of time as Harcourt. He's looks like he's going to be really fun. Kind of funny guy. Very kind of like a Jonah Hill kind of style of humor from this guy. And then you have Adebayo, who is new to the team, new to the DCEU universe. This isn't DCEU, is it? Yeah, no, yeah, it is. Yeah, what am I talking about? New to the DCEU. She's played by Danielle Brooks, who most of us will probably know as Tasty from Orange is the New Black. We learned some important things about her because, you know, she's new to the team, and everyone's kind of like, okay, how did this person get this job? Where did she come from? What are her qualifications? And so there's a lot to learn about her history. And we learned an important piece of information about her in the first episode, but I think there's still a lot more to learn about her as we move on. Then we also have Robert Patrick, who I know as, and will always know as, the T-1000 from Terminator 2. He plays Augie Smith, who is the father of Peacemaker. And if you do decide to watch this show, and for the record, I am recommending it if you like that kind of stuff, Suicide Squad, Guardians, all that kind of stuff, I do recommend this because you're going to enjoy this just as much, but if not more. I'm going to leave you, if you decide to watch this, to see what Robert Patrick does with this character, but it's fucking wild. I'll leave you at that. Another character who, after these first 3 episodes, hasn't officially joined their team, but I think will, is Vigilante, who is probably like my favorite character on the show. Maybe like second favorite behind, John Cena's Peacemaker, but this Vigilante character, there's a really great scene with him. I think it's in episode 2, it might be episode 3, where he's just, I'm just gonna say he's near a dumpster, like, a trash dumpster. And he has an interaction with the team. And I for whatever reason, I found that scene to be awesome. But I think Vigilante is going to be like the sleeper kind of character of the show. Just like Peacemaker, I think, was kind of like the sleeper character of the movie. You go in there, you see Idris Elba, all these other, King Shark. And I think you look at John Cena as kind of like that complimentary kind of piece where he's kind of played that in a lot of things. Even when he's John Cena acting in a movie, he kind of feels like he comes in there almost like a cameo and brings a totally different kind of energy to whatever's happening in that program. And on this, I feel like Vigilante is kind of like the Peacemaker of this show. And I feel like he's going to be the kind of like that standout character that's going to be really funny and a fan favorite. Peacemaker also has a bald eagle, who is his sidekick, named Eagly. Very creatively named. I expect that there will probably be some really good scenes with Eagly as the show progresses. There's a really great scene in, I think it's the first episode, where Peacemaker and his father are basically talking shit about Bloodsport, who was played by Idris Elba in the film. And I swear I heard the eagle laughing along with them. And that kind of shit, I like those little kind of like subtle things. And I think that is going to be a good kind of like, I guess sidekick is the perfect word, even though it's not a sidekick that's not going to talk or anything like that. I think that Eagly is going to be is going to have some pretty damn good moments in the show. And as far as Peacemaker goes, like I said, that Peacemaker was kind of like that side character who stood out in the film, and now he's the lead. So like, what do you do with a character who is very kind of one-dimensional, great at what he was doing in the film, but still kind of one-dimensional, right? Where now this is the lead, and you need to make this character a little bit more three-dimensional. We've seen him so far in these first 3 episodes very conflicted about his role on the team and what he was brought in for. He's very conflicted about how he's perceived amongst the team. You know, he wants to come off a certain way, and I think there's some layers there. You know, like you know, you want to be perceived a certain way outwardly, but inwardly, you have a whole lot of self-doubt, and I think that's what's going on. There's a lot of that going on here with him. One of the things that I don't like is there's this dynamic of him wanting to have his father's admiration and respect, and that's so fucking played out to me. Like that kid who has the self-doubt, that son, because he didn't have his father around, or his father doesn't pay enough attention to him or give him enough hugs and all that. That's so fucking played out, but it's there, and I think it does help to make this a more three-dimensional character, so that, you know, if he does end up building a relationship with Harcourt, it's gonna make a little bit more sense. It's gonna feel like this is a human who wants to have a relationship with another human, as opposed to like someone who's kind of brought in for comic relief like he was in the film. So they're doing some work to make him a little bit more three-dimensional, and I think it's largely working. Some of the highlights that I want to go over, these aren't spoilers at all, but there's a scene where he's kind of like, he wants to escape from a building, and he's high up in the building, and there's balconies that are, you know, on every floor of that building. And he's jumping from balcony to balcony down, you know, one floor at a time. And they play this up to the maximum. Like, it's like really like ridiculous to watch. And it's hard to describe, but like watching it, it's very like cringy, like, and they do it completely over the top. But I thought that was a fun scene. There's an ongoing joke about Economos's beard that I think is pretty fun. I'm not gonna go into I'm not gonna go into detail, but the opening credits are something to behold. I will just say that they are something to behold. I've not seen a show with this sort of opening credits. I'll leave it at that. And then lastly, they do something that I think is kind of cool. At the end of the credits of every episode, they kind of play like an extended scene. Well, it's not an extended scene. It's an extension of a scene that we saw earlier in the episode. So there might be a scene where, you know, maybe the director or the writers, whoever makes this decision, thought this would be a good scene to maybe tack on an extra 10, 15 seconds to, and we'll put that at the end of the episode. That's kind of what they do at the end of every episode. There'll be a scene where, you know, if it had played out for 15, 20 more seconds, I don't even think it's that much. It's probably like 10 to 15 seconds of an extension of a scene that we saw earlier. And I think that's kind of cool. There's a really good one, I think, at the end of episode 2, I think was the best one. There's I remember episodes 1 and 3. Yeah, 2 is the best one, but you know, I think that's like a cool little thing. Like you know, Gamora, which I review on this channel, they showed the preview for the next episode, but it's integrated in with the closing credits. So you'll see a shot, you'll see some credits, you'll see a shot, you'll see some credits. And I like creative work with the opening credits. I mean, with the ending credits that kind of make the audience stay there, because whether you want to or not, you're going to see these names, you're going to see these people. And I think it helps get these people's hard work in front of the eyes of the audience if they are compelled to stay through the credits to see, and, you know, in Gamora's case, to see previews for next week, or next episode, I should say, or in the case of this show, to see an extension of a scene. You know, like, you never know, like, oh, is it going to be an extension of blank scene that I thought was awesome? Or, you know, with the Marvel movies, you know how they do mid-credit and post-credit scenes. So I think that's pretty cool. So all that to say, I don't know if I'm going to review this week to week. It kind of depends on how good this video does numbers-wise. You know, I've said before, I'm not popping enough to get numbers with like Marvel and Star Wars shit, because there's so much competition out there. So I said I'm not going to cover that anymore until, you know, the juice is worth the squeeze, because these videos take a lot of time to put together, and I don't want to, you know, do all that for nobody to watch the video. And that's how I feel about Peacemaker. Like, if this video does even a decent amount of views, I'll probably cover it week to week in a spoilery fashion, where we'll actually talk about what happened, and if it was fun, if it was cool, if it sucked, all that good stuff. If this video does some decent amount of traction. If not, and this just performs the way like the Marvel and Star Wars shit does, then this will probably be it. So we'll see next week if I'm covering episode 4 or not, but that's on you guys. You know, if you want me to cover this week to week throughout the whole season, you better share this shit on your Facebook or your Twitter or your whatever the fuck, TikTok, whatever. and you know, get it out there to where I feel like it would be worth my time to actually dedicate this every Thursday, dedicate my time to reviewing this show. So that's it for now. If I see you in a week, peace. If not, peace anyway.